In my mind, ever since I bought these new clothes, I was like, why don't I do a lookbook? But then I was like, I'm not pretty enough to do a lookbook. I just have this negative perception of myself, and now that it's done, I guess it's uniquely mine, and that's something that I should be proud of. Hey guys, it's Gabriel. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to do something new. I'm very excited today because the news has spread about Will and Grace's return to TV. They're coming back to NBC this fall, and today they released a full-on trailer that I actually haven't seen yet. So a little bit later I'm going to be reacting to the full trailer, but before I get into that, I sort of wanted to talk about my relationship with the show and what the show has meant to me. During the time that Will and Grace was on TV, I actually wasn't really into sitcoms. I liked comedies, but I don't know, something about sitcoms just didn't really have me fully engaged. It hit me like a bat when my cousin introduced me to Will and Grace. I fell absolutely in love with these characters and with the story. And the thing that was exciting for me was that, you know, at the time I wasn't fully out, or I wasn't out at all actually. My cousin and I, we are super close. We're very similar to Will and Grace, but at the time my cousin didn't know that I was gay, and I obviously knew, but I was just kind of like pushing down my feelings and just trying to, I don't know, in a weird way, Will and Grace became a show that I was like vicariously living through. For me as a closeted gay person, like I was watching the show oddly hoping that Will would end up with Grace. Certain episodes in the first 2 seasons, there was moments in the story that kind of allowed for someone who would think like that to have hope and to have a reason to feel like that was a possibility. My cousin, she was like, there is no way that would ever happen. But I was like, no, and I was like trying to give her evidence. Like even in the first episode, like she's in a wedding dress and random stranger asks them to like kiss each other and check and see if they like each other. And then the episode where they introduced Grace's mom, I believe it was, she was talking about how she believed that Will and Grace were meant to be together despite the fact that he was gay. Like they would somehow find a way to work it out. And I think for me in my mind, it was like if Will and Grace could end up together, then there was hope for me to not being forced to come out and not having to face the hardships that comes along with telling people who you really are, unless you just so happen to meet a girl who's your absolute best friend and you guys somehow find some way to like work it out. Now that I go back and really think about what it was that I was hoping for in the show, it's a little bit ridiculous, but eventually things kind of turned in the later seasons. Of course, Grace started dating people, Will started dating people, so it's like, oh, okay. But you know, I still have my hope. They brought that hope back for me when Will and Grace were talking about having a baby together, and I was like, wait, what? What? It was like a dream come true. I was like, okay, so he's gay, people know that he's gay, and he's gonna, you know, have a baby with his best friend who's a girl who he absolutely loves, and she loves him. Maybe not in that way, but they love each other on such a deep level and a deep connection that it's like, in some ways to me, maybe even more than what a romantic relationship could provide. Will and Grace really knew each other very well, and they were so like intertwined. Jack and Karen had a very similar relationship, but obviously not as cemented as Will and Grace, because Will and Grace had a lot of history even before the events of the first episode. So anyways, long story short, I had hopes that they would end up together. Turns out they didn't, but the whole talk of having a baby together was where the show met its end. The show ended with, I think, 197. That sounds specific, I'm guessing, but I feel like that number is right. So for me personally, I was like, the show was so good. They were so close to get 200 episodes. Like it kind of bothered me that they were that close and didn't make it. So now they will officially go over 200, so that makes me feel at peace already. Talking about the final episode, I don't know exactly what to expect from the upcoming season. They're calling it season 9, I think. It's not just like a whole new Will and Grace show, like it's a continuation, I believe, but there's a lot of stuff that I think they have to undo to continue the story. When I watched the last episode, it was a little difficult for me to believe that because they weren't gonna have this baby together, that meant for them to not be friends for several years. And that just like, I don't know, like that, it hurt. It hurt to watch that. And I was like, no, like this can't be. Like you really love and care about someone so much, and it's like, I don't know, I think Grace said something specific and she was like, wouldn't you want to be happy happy for me. I guess what really upset Will is that he always puts Grace first and she always puts herself first. Grace can be a little bit selfish, I would say, but Will broke up with his boyfriend so that he could make room in his life for Grace and her baby. But in my mind, I feel like there's so much love between them that I felt like there was some way that they could have figured out how to continue their relationship. But maybe I misunderstood the course of the final episode, but from what I got, they have a fight. They didn't talk for, I want to say, 2 years. They randomly meet up again, catch up, everything's great, all is forgiven, but then they kind of go at a distance again and they don't re-meet until their kids meet in college, and at this point they're old. And it's just, I was like, oh, I don't like this. So it's Will and Grace for however many years they've known each other, and then it's not Will and Grace anymore, and then it won't be Will and Grace again until they're like 60, or I don't know however old they were in the finale. But I get the poetry behind their children falling in love, and they're like the seeds of Will and Grace, and that's the real Will and Grace that's able to meet and fall in love romantically. But for them to get to that point, it was difficult to experience that roller coaster. So I don't know how they're going to go about bringing the show back. That's kind of my 2 cents on the finale. It's not that I hated it, you know, it just kind of didn't leave it didn't leave the happiest taste in my mouth. No. Although I will say the final season had so many episodes that I really liked. The live episodes were hilarious. One of my absolute favorite episodes of Will and Grace was in the last season. It was a Sound of Music episode. That episode was so funny. I did watch the political episode. It was like a 10-minute episode that they did back in October or September. I thought it was so good. It was like seeing an old friend again. I've seen so many interviews with them talking about that experience of getting back together, and it's like you could feel everything that they said about it being like they were jumping back into an old pair of shoes. Am I saying that expression wrong? Even though 11 years have passed, you go right back into it and it's like you never left. And I fully believe that. That totally came across to me. And I think what's so great about this return is that not a single person is different, or as far as what I've heard. Everyone on the cast is exactly the same. The actors, the director, the writers, the creators, obviously, all the way down to the makeup people and the cameramen. So I think that is like so special. They have the best chance of success, and that's what makes me so excited for the show. Originally, the new season was ordered with 10 episodes, and then I believe in April, it was bumped up to 2 more episodes. I read recently that there's a chance that it could be even more. So I would love nothing more than for several more years of Will and Grace. The show has a very special place in my heart because not only could I relate to the story and to the characters, but the show came at the perfect time in my life. I would watch that show so many times, and there was nothing in the world that can make me happier than watching this TV show because it was just so funny. When life got hard at times, it was my escape place. All of the worries and all of the burdens and the difficulties of school and just, you know, people in general, all of that just like completely went away. People say books are their escape. Like I say all the time, TV is like a world of dreams for me. I could be in the worst mood and just watching that show just instantly like perks me up and just makes me so happy. And I have my cousin to thank for that. I don't know if this is the case, but now I feel like I like the show even more than she does. I definitely didn't mean to do all of this talking. The most important part is the reaction. So this is my first reaction video, so just bear with me. Okay, so without further ado, let's get to the trailer. Yeah, so if you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Definitely be sure to subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Zuff678. Be yourself, love yourself, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Alright, bye! There's definitely a running theme in my life where I realize that a lot of things that don't happen or things that are awkward or whatever, it's all because of me and my mentality, like the way I think about the things that I can and can't do. And sometimes it's influenced by other people, but in general, I think